week, another end zone, another time to score.
Oh, all right.
See what I did there?
Maybe you should start saying that every single week. Then you get the people going a little bit, right?
I'll work that in for you.
For sure, for sure. We're going to start with your OSU Cowboys first. Then we'll move to the Sooners, then the Golden Hurricane, talk some high school football. You were on the call this past week. You'll be on the call again on Friday. And let's start with those Cowboys. They go down to Texas and do not continue their 5-game win streak in Austin. They snap that 5-game win streak. They lose 36-30 to the Longhorns. My question to you is, should OSU have beaten Texas, or was it merely they could have if they played a little bit better?
I mean, going into the game, seeing as they were an underdog, I think it was possible for them to get the win down there, especially with them having a slight, mental edge over the Longhorns, being that they've been down there 5 times and, gotten 5 straight wins. I feel like the fans and the players thought it was very likely a high possibility, but in all reality, I mean, you could kind of see to it when you looked at the game. This was a Texas team that was very dominant, and they're nationally ranked top 15 team for a reason. I mean, they played tremendously, and I was a little surprised and pretty impressed by the Cowboys in the fact that they were in that game throughout the contest with a redshirt freshman quarterback, with a young group of guys that haven't been to Austin before. They played extraordinary, in my opinion. They just didn't get enough to get the win. You can see on the highlights here, I mean, Spencer Sanders, he did a great job throughout the game. I mean, doing what was asked of him throughout the contest. There was a couple of minor mistakes, some interceptions that, the ball kind of came off his hand wrong. But other than that, pretty impressive performance from him.
What grade would you give him? Because I think he was pressured in this game a lot. He definitely dealt with stuff that he didn't deal. I mean, Tulsa's a good defense, don't get me wrong.
Right.
They pressured him. They challenged him. But Texas, I think, challenged him in a different way. You talked about the 2 interceptions he had. And I think the red zone played a factor into that too. They couldn't, they were kicking field goals all night, not really getting in the end zone. Part of that was on him, kind of, making some mistakes.
I mean, going into the game, I mean, a lot of us were worried. I mean, guys that, know about Big 12 football and know about Coach Orlando, the defensive coordinator for Texas. He was a guy that he does some unusual things there in the secondary. And so with the young freshman quarterback, it was going to be, challenging for him to, read the defense and operate in a manner that would allow your team to go out there and win. So the coaching staff, they did a good thing. They limited some of the reads, and they helped him out a lot, especially rolling him out of the pocket so you could, simplify the field for him, and so he could see some throws downfield easily. But still wasn't enough to get the win. And you mentioned he got a lot of pressure. I mean, in the trenches, as far as on both sides of the ball, just not just offense, but also on defense. Texas really won that game because of that. Their offensive line and their defensive line played very well, and they put the pressure on the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, as far as in the trenches, didn't answer quite well.
For sure. I think maybe one of the plays that stood out to me was one of Sanders' interceptions. A guy was going over the middle, kind of just threw it over his head, and maybe against Tulsa, maybe some of those other teams, that ball just goes off into the sideline and is not caught. Against Texas though, and against some of these other Big 12 teams, it's going to be caught for an interception, possibly returned a little bit of ways. So definitely some mistakes were made on Sanders' part. We brought this up off the air. Chuba Hubbard, 37 carries in this game, over 100 yards, fine, but that workload, I'm not sure how much that can be sustained throughout the course of a season, especially when LD Brown, basically the number 2 guy, is not having the season that people thought he would.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, 37 carries is way too many carries for a guy to undertake it in one game. I mean, they are going to have to find another guy to collect some of these carries. It's going to be very important for that offense for them to find another ball carrier other than Sanders and other than Chuba. You kind of want to see something like that in a game where they're hanging a safety over the top on Wallace and making it hard for them to throw the football. All right, that's a time where we use our running game with Spencer Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. But even in that situation, you cannot hand him the ball 37, 40 times a game. That's a lot to ask. So they're going to have to find now Jeter, number 28, a guy that came in last year. He's starting to get healthy, had a little bit of an ankle issue early in the season. He's starting to get healthy. Maybe they should start looking at him. The guy who came from JUCO, Desmond Jackson, number 27, he's starting to get a little bit more healthy. Both of them going through some injuries in fall camp. They're starting to both get healthy. So maybe it's time to, you know, you saw what LD Brown could do. He's not having the season that we expected from him. Maybe it's time to look down the line and look at some of those other guys.
For sure. But again, how much can you expect out of a guy from JUCO in his first, you know, full season with OSU? I mean, that's sort of putting a lot of pressure on him, right? You know, I'm not wrong about that.
No, it's not. I mean, like Coach Gundy says sometimes, with JUCO players, you kind of look toward for them to kind of get it midway through the season. It kind of sometimes some guys it takes a full year for them to get it, but some guys are dynamic. You just got to give them the opportunity, and some of these guys need some more opportunities.
Do you think that the red zone issue was isolated, or do you think you maybe could see that being a problem going forward?
No, I kind of think it was what you were facing. Like I just mentioned, that defense in the secondary was very complicated. Todd Orlando does some complicated things, along with the fact that they were losing the field position or kind of the things between the line or at the line of scrimmage battle in the trenches with that defensive line who was superb from Texas. So the fact that you put both of those together in a short, condensed field in the red zone where there's not a lot of room to run and not a lot of field to operate with, defenses having a little bit of an advantage, especially the way that they were playing defense.
I think definitely it was sort of, you know, a game. If they had won that game, what a statement that would have been, right? Especially for a redshirt freshman going into Texas, going into Austin, continuing that win streak. But at the same time, they were the 12th ranked team in the country. Now they're up to number 11. So, you know,
it was an uphill battle, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you can't always win those games, especially against, you know, in the Big 12 where so much can happen. They got number 24 Kansas State coming in town this week. That scares you a little bit.
Oh, definitely. You saw the performance that Kansas State put up against Mississippi State. Not to mention they're coming off of a bye week, so 2 weeks to prepare for the Cowboys. It's a lot. Like, giving a Kansas State team 1 week to prepare is bad enough, but 2 weeks, that's a tall task to overtake.
For sure. Ian, each of the last 6 games both of these teams have played have won 1-possession games. So you know it's going to be close either way.
Yeah, they play each other tough. I mean, K-State, you know what you get when you see them. They're going to run the ball aggressively. They're going to play good defense, and they're going to be disciplined as far as, you know, offensively and defensively. And you can't forget about that special teams. They've already got 1 kick return for a touchdown against Mississippi State. Yep. So you got to battle them on 3 phases of the game. It's going to be a tough one, especially with them running a lot of man. Hopefully we're able to take advantage of a little bit of that, especially with Wallace and Sanders' running ability with their backs turned to the quarterback.
No, I did fail to mention, I usually say it off the top, you were a former OSU Cowboy. You said to me in the car ride on the way up here to Muskogee that you hate losing to Kansas State.
Oh, yes.
And you lost once when you played them in your 4 years? Yeah, so you definitely don't want to see them lose again, being a former Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean, those losses to those Wildcats, they're hard to swallow, and I really want these Cowboys to bounce back strong off of that loss from Texas and, you know, come out here and take it to the Wildcats.
All right, we'll see how they do moving forward against Kansas State in the rest of the season. We'll talk some Sooner football next. They got Texas Tech coming to town this week off their bye week. We'll talk about that when we come back here on the End Zone.
Other wireless companies need 4-page brochures to explain plans that are too complicated and cost way too much. We are not like the others. We are Bravado Wireless. We offer 1 line of unlimited talk, text, and 4G LTE data for only $40 per month, with no minimum number of lines and no hidden fees. This is your year to be bold, connect fast at the best price. We live where you live, and we are proud to be a part of your community here in Eastern Oklahoma. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
And welcome back into Port City Body Shop, everybody. Jacob Toby alongside former OSU Cowboy Deion Imade. Let's talk some Sooner football. Coming off a bye week, they're going to have Texas Tech this week, who also is coming off a bye week. What are you sort of feeling? What are your feelings about this game, this Saturday?
I mean, first of all, early in the season, Texas Tech has been impressive. I mean, what they did, outside of the conference is nothing you can turn your head about. But they did have some injury issues with their starting quarterback, Bowman, going down. That's unfortunate for the Red Raiders, but hopefully they get a little spark from their backup quarterback, and he comes in more of a dual threat guy. So you'll see some different things from the Red Raiders, but it should be interesting. But OU is at a little bit of a disadvantage because they don't really have game tape on him. They have it on Bowman, so especially this year. So, I mean, he's played in the past, but this year you don't have much game tape on him, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Bowman, before he got hurt, led the Big 12 in passing yards per game. So, obviously, he's had a good season so far. Sucks to see him get hurt because the game obviously loses a little bit of luster, right?
Yeah.
I think head coach Matt Wells said that both of his quarterbacks might get a little time, the backup and the third-string guy, I believe. So, I'm not sure how he's going to play it, but you could see both of them there. So that's even, I'm not sure they have tape on the third-string guy. So,
No, I mean, pretty much the same situation there.
Yeah, so that ain't good, right? But again, Bowman, really good. Remember last year against OU in Lubbock? He was throwing the ball really well. They were up a little bit. They were up 14-0 in that game last year on OU before OU sort of started to take control. But again, it's going to be about this guy right here you're watching right now, Jalen Hurts. He's going to take Texas Tech by storm. That's what the Sooners hope he's going to do.
And the bad news is for Texas Tech, and the good news for OU is Texas Tech has had some trouble stopping the running game this year. It's early in the season. I mean, they've only played 3 games, but still, all signs show that they're not doing a good job stopping the run. And what has OU been doing very well this year?
Oh, that may be running the ball.
Running the ball on the outside in the perimeters. Look for them to attack them in the running game and not, so much in the passing game.
Yeah, and Texas Tech's defense, the passing defense, 3rd ranked in
Exactly.
college football. So I think you're definitely going to see a little bit more of a run game from OU, especially knowing that Texas Tech can sort of stop that pass game a little bit.
Yeah, they've got a couple of players with interceptions already early in this season. It's going to be impressive to see how – this is a game you want to look at Jalen Hurts and see how he attacks with the downfield
His Big 12 debut.
His Big 12 debut. Everything's looking like everybody, all eyes are going to be on him. How do you attack in the throwing game? How do you in the passing game? What do you look like throwing downfield against what's – on paper, a good passing defense for Texas Tech.
For sure. And just to bring this up real quick, their kicker got in trouble for some off-the-field stuff. I'm not sure if Lincoln Riley is going to play him or not, or discipline him. So there's another sort of little itty-bitty thing that you want to keep your eye on.
And that's the thing coaches always talk about, distractions. You cannot have on-field and off-field distractions. It's very important. Now that's a little bit of a distraction for this OU ball club going into their Big 12 opener. It's going to be interesting to see how they weather the storm a little bit on that.
For sure.
Unusual, it's the kicker. Normally those are guys you don't normally get in trouble when you're the kicker.
No,
that's unusual.
But, hey, stuff happens, I guess. I don't know. It's an 11 o'clock game early. Mm-hmm. Does that have any effect on you? I know, you played at all times.
I mean, it doesn't really affect, like most of these big-time programs. You work out in the morning. You do stuff. Your day is packed with classes and practice. So the only time you work out in school is you wake up early and you get those done. It shouldn't have any effect on the game. Maybe little motivation might be a little down, but by the time that thing gets kicked off and the game gets ramped up, your adrenaline starts running, should be no interference there.
Okay, cool. They've won 7 straight versus Texas Tech. Do you expect them to get the win again?
Oh, I don't expect anything different. I trust me. I believe that Jalen Hurts and those Sooners will go out there that morning and get it done for the Sooners.
Do you foresee it being close at any point, or do you more or less see a blowout?
If Bowman was playing, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I give him a slight chance of that, but with him out of the game and they're playing a new quarterback and all kinds of things, it being in Norman, I don't give Texas Tech and the Red Raiders much chance.
Well, we'll see what happens again. 7 straight versus the Red Raiders. Let's move on to the Golden Hurricane. They get a 24-21 win over Wyoming on Saturday. Really impressive win. They were up 17-7 through 3 quarters, gave up 14 fourth-quarter points to give up their lead. But then Shamari Brooks comes back, scores a touchdown to give the Golden Hurricane their lead back. Then the AAC Defensive Player of the Week, Cooper Evanston, forces a fumble at the Tulsa 3-yard line. That would end the game right there. How impressive was that win versus Wyoming?
Well, first of all, it was a win that Tulsa very much needed.
Yes.
That was a very much needed win in the bowl, as far as their bowl game implications and their chances of going far in this season. Other than that, you saw the way they played. My only concern, though, is this a problem going forward? You saw the week before with OSU, they had a strong second quarter. Second half kind of falls asleep.
Yep.
This week as well, they score 14 points in the second quarter, fall asleep in the third. Luckily enough, they're able to overcome and halt that fourth quarter comeback by Wyoming and get the win. So is this a concern going forward? Are they going to have a tough time coming back in the second half? And what that kind of tells you is the fact that you're playing a lot of guys, a lot of snaps. You know this is an up-tempo offense from Tulsa, and they do a lot of fun things, but are the kids getting tired there and having trouble coming back after halftime?
For sure. I mean, this team showed adversity through this game, for sure. They learned that when you have a lead, you want to go finish the game.
Right.
That's been a problem the last couple of years, is that they've maybe had a lead they shouldn't have, or it's been a close game and then they couldn't go finish. This year they have the ability to go finish, and you're seeing, that touchdown right there by Shamari Brooks was big time, and then the forced fumble right here by Edmonston was big time. Philip Montgomery obviously really happy about the win, showing the adversity. Players were happy about it as well. He said post-game that he knew before the season started that every single game on his schedule was going to be a challenge. No matter who they're playing, it was all going to be tough. There weren't any gimme wins. So you do have to start taking care of teams that you probably should, right? I mean,
Definitely.
Wyoming's good, though. They won 7 straight before playing Tulsa, so they were no joke. The defense, obviously, pretty good. But I think when the Hurricane look at it in total, they say that's a pretty good win.
It's definitely a good win, but still a lot of concerns with that win. Okay, offensively, offensive line, it's still an issue. Okay, Zach Smith.
Very young
offensive line. Zach Smith put on his back 7 times in that game. That cannot happen. 7 sacks in one game is too many times for your quarterback. We're not even listing off the hurries, the pressures, and how much he was under duress.
Someone I was talking to a couple days ago said this. It felt like every time he could have been sacked, or there was a potential of him being hurried, or he was hurried. So he's always looking around like, I got to move. I got to do something. Sometimes he doesn't move, and that's on him. Sometimes it's the offensive line. So it's just about them kind of regrouping and getting together a little bit.
Yeah, and that's you got to fix that now, because later on in the season it's going to be, with a quarterback, there's a time clock in their head.
Yep.
He's like, I need to get rid of the ball now. Pressure's coming. If you hurry up that time clock, it's going to, when he actually does have time in the pocket, he's going to be rushing throws and it's going to be inaccurate. So it's going to be important for them to get that, handled very quickly, because it does seem like Zach Smith is finding his rhythm once again.
For sure.
This is a kid who sat out last year. 1 year of football. I know it doesn't seem like a lot when you look at the big picture, but it does set you back a little bit, and you have to find your way back into game mode and find your rhythm once again. So he's looks like he's got it back. This offensive line just got to help him out.
You're right, and he had the first 300 passing yard game since 2016. That was from Dane Evans, who's in the CFL right now, so that's something that he can be proud of. Not a lot of these Tulsa quarterbacks have had success the last couple of years, so Montgomery is proving that he made the right decision right now.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He picked Zach Smith over Seth Boomer. The arm talent is there. He's made some great throws on the outside, whether it's to Sam Crawford or Keenan Johnson, some of the other weapons they have, right? Shamari Brooks maybe out of the backfield getting some passes. So Zach Smith definitely showing that he's capable of taking this team. It's just, like you said, 7 times sacked. That can't happen, especially when you get into conference play.
You hit the nail right on the head right there.
Of course I did. When you take a look just the state of the team right now, is the bowl game still very much in play?
Right.
Very, very much in play. Are there any other issues you see besides the ones you talked about?
Honestly, it's just that offensive line, and then the fact that in the second half, can they come up and play big when the time matters? I mean, they showed a little bit of that with the fourth quarter stop and getting back on the board and grabbing the lead once again, but still a concern that you have to look at in terms of, I mean, this game, with the athletes that you play, I mean, everybody's got fast, big, strong guys. You got to pay attention to the small details. So if you're Tulsa, you got to look at what you're doing and how you can play better in the second half.
Yep, and when you mentioned Zach Smith being affected by that O-line, it's also the run game as well. Maybe they didn't run it as well as they wanted to. Philip Montgomery saying post-game that it was about split how they wanted it to be. Maybe they'd like to run it a little bit more with better outcomes, but the offensive line is going to affect the run game.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, not having a 100-yard rusher is very discouraging for this team that, kind of, says we run the ball. We like to run the ball. We got two backs, and one of them stating earlier in the season there's no reason why we shouldn't each be running for 100 yards each game. You got to make that a thing if that's going to continue, if that's something you want to hang your hat on.
I interviewed Corey Taylor pregame at Tulsa's Media Day. He said they have the best backfield in the state. Not sure if that's true or not, but they need to start rushing for over 100 yards more if they want to prove that, right?
Exactly.
For sure. And they have SMU coming up after their bye week, who they upset, a big upset for them last week. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, TCU went down there and found out that those Dallas boys at SMU can play some football.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after this bye week for TU, they get rested up, they get, well prepared, they improve in week of practice, and they get an edge over SMU with some extra preparation time, and they go down to Dallas and handle business. It's going to be a tough task, but hopefully they can get it done.
What did I say? Philip Montgomery said every game is going to be tough, and SMU proving that with that upset last week. When we come back, we'll talk some high school football as well as some Oklahoma natives doing some pretty good things in the NFL. So we got that coming up next here on the Endzone. Stay with us.
Hi, we're Bravado Wireless. You may have seen us at your local events and wondered just exactly what we do. We provide the highest quality cell phone service, specializing in outstanding coverage, both locally and nationwide. We're headquartered right here in Oklahoma, with multiple store locations in eastern Oklahoma. We provide the most affordable, unlimited talk, text, and data plans available. For a limited time, our unlimited plan is only $40 a month, and you can receive a free LG K30. Make sure you stop in now and enjoy our other amazing summer deals before they end. Visit Bravado Wireless store locations for all other details, or go to bravadowireless.com for more information. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
Jacob Toby along with my guy, Deion Imade. A lot of the times, some of the best places for high school football for talent, California, Florida, Oklahoma's up there. Texas obviously in there as well.
Yeah.
They have produced some really good NFL players. Your guy this week was who? That did pretty well.
Well, for me, I wanted to highlight Sterling Shepard.
Okay. What did he do this week?
This week, coming back off of last week where he came back from a concussion protocol. Okay, got off to a good start for the Giants. 7 receptions, 100 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 targets, and don't get me wrong. He did it in the receiving end, but also running the ball a little bit too. 2 carries for 21 yards.
All right. Now, I don't think people expected that.
Not expected that at all. Doing a good thing on the ground and in the air, and kind of helping out that young guy that came into his own, kind of the talk of the league right now, Daniel Jones, the young guy from Duke that everybody booed when he got drafted. And I'm not going to lie, okay? I was also looking at the, like,
Daniel Jones.
What are y'all doing?
Of
Why
course.
would you get it? But it's still, if you look at it, though, it was still a situation where you kind of got him high where nobody else was looking for him.
Yeah.
But now that he's playing good, a little question is in the back of my head. How good would he look if he had OBJ to throw to?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but still, Sterling Shepard is there to receive those balls from Daniel Jones, and it looks like they have a nice little connection. Again, 7 passes, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, a great day for Sterling Shepard.
Good productive fantasy day as well. He's on my fantasy team.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if that production can continue with Golden Tate when he comes back after his 4-game suspension. So
A little splitting some balls, splitting some carries.
All right, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Keep proving it. I mean, we all know they could have gotten him with the 17th overall pick instead of the 6th. But they just, they like their guy. They wanted to go for him. What do you want me to do?
You got a guy, you go get him.
Of course. My guy, former Booker T. Washington Hornet, Tyler Lockett, Seattle Seahawks, #1 receiver after Doug Baldwin retires. This guy puts up 11 receptions, 11, better than 7. I don't know if you knew that. Better than 7.
I can count.
Drop my pen. 11 receptions, 154 yards, 1 touchdown. This guy's pretty good. I mean, he has a connection with Russell Wilson unlike any other. He has put up some big numbers in his career so far. Tulsa native, Booker T. Washington. He's been pressing so far.
Yeah, he's been dynamic all season. He's got a touchdown pass in the last 2 games. So a good day for him, especially against those Saints that were pretty good. I mean, they did come out there with Drew Brees not being in the huddle for the Saints and quarterbacking that team, so that defense knew they had to step it up. And although they did step it up, Tyler Lockett still got the best of him.
For sure. And Tyler Lockett does great things for the community. Comes back every summer, does a camp for the kids at TU. So I think he's a great role model for kids around here. And when he puts up big numbers, they're like, oh, wow. I mean, maybe we go to his camp, learn football, can be from here, go on to the NFL, put up big numbers.
And also on my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah, he's on my fantasy team. I forgot about that. you PPR, right?
Of course.
Okay, so he did pretty well then.
Definitely.
11 receptions, can't beat that. When we come back, high school football talk. We'll talk about the McIntosh County War that you had last week on BravadoTV.com, and we'll also preview this matchup you have coming up Friday. So we'll be back in a bit right here on the Endzone.
Other wireless companies need 4-page brochures to explain plans that are too complicated and cost way too much. We are not like the others. We are Bravado Wireless. We offer 1 line of unlimited talk, text, and 4G LTE data for only $40 per month, with no minimum number of lines and no hidden fees. This is your year to be bold, connect fast at the best price. We live where you live, and we are proud to be a part of your community here in Eastern Oklahoma. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
Ignoring calls from your in-laws?
Nope.
That's a bold move. Ignoring other carriers and switching to Bravado?
Again?
Now that's a bolder move.
Hey, Karen. Sorry, I can't talk right now. I'm going through a...
Get $500 off any new phone when you sign up for the Premium Unlimited plan from Bravado.
You're right behind me?
Visit your nearest store today. Bravado Wireless. Experience the power of connection.
And welcome back, everybody. Jacob, Toby, Deion, Imade. McIntosh County War. You experienced it was that the first time you've experienced that?
First time.
30-20 to win for Eufaula. Tell me about it. I wasn't there, of course, but you were. So
Yeah, and it was an extraordinary game. I was, thoroughly impressed by, first of all, the crowd that was there, the atmosphere. It was a fun rivalry game, so you expect the fans to be up and lively about it. But you can't speak enough about the athletes. Right there on your screen, you see Fisher running down the sideline. He showed extraordinary speed throughout the game. A guy that couldn't get it going, but when he found a hole to get through, he did amazing things. And right here, for you follow the starting quarterback, Nick Jones, he must have been the MVP of the night, especially that's what I had him as. I mean, he did some extraordinary things through with his legs and getting into the end zone. And right there for Shakota, Jacob Barrett, you just saw him just score right there. Also a great guy, a great quarterback, but he will be going to play wide receiver for Eastern Michigan. But he was playing quarterback that night and did some good things through the air with his arm and with his legs, and I was thoroughly impressed with him as well.
A big rivalry. You talked about the crowd being there. The atmosphere was great. A good score as well, 20 to 10, or 30 to 20, excuse me, for Eufaula. Nick Jones, Noah Alexander combined for 280 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and first of all, those guys got to give it up to their offensive line. They did a great job all night opening holes for them, and it was won in the trenches. That game, definitely, that defensive line continued to get in the backfield of Shakota, and that offensive line created holes for Noah Alexander and Nick Jones, and they had extraordinary nights because of it.
Let's talk about the broadcasts that you guys have coming up this week on BravadoTV.com. You have Tulsa Central, who's 3-0 for the first time since 2011, and you have Hilldale. Broadcast will start at 6:30. What are you seeing from this matchup?
Well, first of all, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that Hilldale linebacker, Jaden McWilliams. He is an extraordinary guy, VIPE 100 nominee, so he's one of the guys they hang their hats on. A new head coach, David Blevins coming over there and, indoctrinating a new offense and trying to show the kids his way of doing things. So it should be interesting what we get to see from them on Saturday. And on the other side for Tulsa Central, they run that spread offense, and it was fun watching the guys run the football last week, but I want to see some passes thrown in the air. I want to see some good defensive back play. I want to see some wide receivers running go routes and catching the ball. So hopefully I can see that from Tulsa Central. I mean, there's a young team last year, so they got experience on their way back this year, so it should be an interesting and fun one to take a hold of.
Central ranked number 8 in 4A, Hilldale number 10. And Central has outscored their opponents 113-0. So
good defense.
Good defense, good offense as well. So maybe we'll see if Hilldale can break that streak of points being scored.
I have a feeling they might. I have a feeling they might.
Ooh, that's a good prediction right there. All right, so you think the Cowboys get the win this week?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
The Sooners get the win this week?
Yeah.
That's tough for you to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And the Hurricane, they're off this week, but they got a big one versus SMU in a couple weeks.
SMU is going to be on the board right there.
For sure. Let's do this again next week.
Why not?
Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll keep it here on Bravado Wireless, Facebook, Live, YouTube, all that good stuff. If you want to rewatch any of the episodes, you can go back on Bravado, his YouTube page. You'll see this guy talking football. He's the master of it. I'm just a sidekick, so
everybody's
better looking, but that's a different story.
Batman.
Okay. Let's end it there. That's Deion Imade. I'm Jacob Toby. Thanks for our entire Bravado crew here. And have a great day, everybody. See you later.